Hey dear yogis, welcome to today's session. My name is Mandy and it seems like we joined by my furry friend Milo as well. Today we're going to be focusing on the hips. You won't need any props, just yourself and your mat. So let's get moving. We will start today's class in a child's pose. So you can make your way into child's pose. The knees are about mat width apart. The big toes are touching. We sit back onto the heels and then we fold forward. Just releasing the forehead down to the floor. And make this a nice and passive child's pose, so you really want to relax down. And see if you can relax through the hips, allow your body to melt down. We'll stay here for about 5 breaths, and we'll use this pose just to settle into the present moment, into our bodies, onto our mats. And in our time together, just allow yourself to leave the rest of your life out of your mind. Wherever you can feel the texture of your mat, just become aware of it. And throughout the practice, you can always use your mat as an anchor to move back into the present moment. If you feel yourself moving out, your thoughts drifting away, just use the touch of your mat to bring you back into your body and onto your mat. And now we're gently going to push up onto all fours. So bringing wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. And we're just going to start with hip rolls here. So just moving, rolling the hips. And make the movement very intuitive, so nothing forced. Doesn't really matter what it looks like. You can tuck the toes under as well if that's more comfortable for you. So completely up to you. And we'll move in the opposite direction. You maybe want to include the shoulders as well. This is really just about waking up your body. Good. Let's come back to our tabletop here and we'll take a few cat-cows. So inhale, drop the belly, crown of the head to the ceiling. Exhale, round through the back. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Twice more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Nice. From here we're just going to come to a seated position, so you can cross the feet at the back and just make your way to seated. So you can either stay in a normal cross-legged position here, or if you want, you can stack one foot in front of the other, so basically the heels in line. We're going into a forward fold from here. So inhale, lengthen through the spine, and exhale, walk the hands forward. So just stop wherever is comfortable for you today. Maybe you're up here. Otherwise, if you want to fold all the way you can drop down, maybe resting onto the hands or even all the way down to the mat. And try to keep the bum flat on the mat, so we're not lifting up. It's kind of these opposite movements, so stretching forward and still pulling the bum down to the floor. And again, just allow yourself to release here. Opening up through those areas that we're going to work today. Just mentally preparing the muscles for the work. Nice last breath here. And then we'll gently rise up. And we'll just move in the opposite direction. So bring the hands behind you. Keep the feet and the shins planted to the floor. And we just lift through the hips. So opening, gentle back bend here. And release it back down. Let's swap the legs. So the other leg at the front, either again just a normal cross of the legs or stacking the heels. Again, bringing hands in front of you. Inhale, elongate through the spine, and exhale, walk the hands forward and just go wherever you land. Keep mindfulness in the glutes. You want them to move down to the mat. And yet you also want to bring the upper body forward. As you move through your practice today, be mindful of how one side might feel very different from the other. And that's perfectly fine. There's usually no perfect symmetry. And just become aware of that today. Good, gently rise up. Again, let's just do a quick counter stretch, bringing the hands behind you and lifting the hips up. Shins and the feet stay planted, knees stay planted. And release it down. Very nice. Now you can just bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Let's go into windscreen wipers so the feet mat width distance apart, and just allow the knees to drop from one side to the other. Good. From here we'll move into a seated figure 4. So you can start by stretching out the left leg and just bring the right foot just above the left knee. Bring the hands behind you for support and start bending through the left knee. Now you have complete control over how deep you want to go here. So you can bring that left foot in closer, or you can walk the hands closer, pressing the torso toward the feet. And the more you puff the chest, so the more you lift the chest up, the deeper the stretch in that right glute will be. Good. Just stay here for about 3 breaths. And just play around with the intensity. And maybe you can even rock a little bit. Might need some space for that, just rocking from side to side. Should feel really good in the hip. Nice. And then from here we're going to drop both legs down so that the sole of the right foot comes all the way down to the floor. Nice, sit up, and then we're all ready for our Lord of the Fishes pose. So take an inhale, straighten out the back, and then just twist over to the right hand side. And you can either wrap that arm around the leg and twist, or if it's comfortable for you, you can hook the elbow and twist, looking over the right shoulder. Use the inhalation to keep lengthening through the spine, and with an exhale, twist deeper. If you feel like you're struggling to maintain a straight back here and you're rounding a lot, rather back out and clasp the knee or the leg. Good. And we release. Straighten out both legs. Might want to shake them out a little bit and rotate. And we'll go to the other side now. So keep that right leg outstretched, left foot just above the right knee, hands behind you for support, and we bend through the right knee. And again, find your level of intensity that you want here. And no matter where you are, the more you lift through the chest, the deeper that stretch will become. Just sitting in stillness here for a moment. And then we can start to gently rock from side to side. This is one of my favorite ways to do a figure 4 pose because you have so much control over it. Nice. And now we're slowly going to move to the other side, so allowing both legs to drop, left foot comes down to the floor, sit up, and we twist to the left hand side now, so wrapping that right arm around the leg and looking over the left shoulder. Again, using the inhalation to lengthen and the exhalation to twist deeper. And of course, you can hook the elbow if you want. Last breath here. And we release. Lovely. Just straighten out the legs again, shake them out, and we'll make our way into our first downward facing dog now. So cross through the legs and transition into downward facing dog. So in this down dog, you can just find intuitive movement, whatever feels good for the body, maybe walking out the legs, bending through one knee and then the other. And when you're ready, you can just find a moment of stillness in your down dog. And then we slowly start to walk the feet forward and come into our forward fold. Nice. Inhale. Flatten out the back just for a moment. Exhale, release down. And inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Nice. We'll do 2 salutations now and include warrior poses. So inhale, bring arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold, step back with the right leg. Then the left. Can drop down onto the knees for now and just come down in a straight line. Inhale, roll shoulders back, crown of the head up, baby cobra. Exhale, release it down, tuck the toes, and into downward facing dog. Let's inhale, reach right leg up to the sky. And as you exhale, see if you can step it through all the way. Adjust as much as you need to. If you land in the center of your mat, maybe come down onto the knee and just bring it forward. Okay, drop down onto the left heel and we inhale for warrior one. Sink nice and low. If you can, bring that front thigh parallel to the floor. That's great. And feel a nice stretch in the left hip flexor. From here, we'll transition into warrior two. So just opening up the hips toward the long side of the mat and sink nice and low. Feel the opening of the hips. One more breath. And then we'll cartwheel down and take vinyasa. So all the way down, stepping that right foot back into plank. Maybe dropping down onto the knees again, or coming down in a straight line. Inhale for baby cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Just take 3 breaths here. And we'll transition forward again. So inhale, reach the right leg up. Maybe just take a moment here to open up through that hip. So bend through the right knee, bringing the heel down to the glute. And then send that foot over and the knee over to the left hand side, looking underneath the right armpit. Then inhale, rise up, 3-legged dog. And exhale, step that right foot through all the way. Left foot to meet, coming into forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, arms up all the way. And exhale, hands to heart center. And now we'll move through the other side. Inhale, bring arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Step back with the left leg, then the right, coming into plank. And maybe this time you want to go into a chaturanga, half push-up. And from here, maybe upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll transition into our warrior poses. Inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, step it through. Make the adjustments you need to so that that left foot lands in between the hands. Then drop down onto the right heel. And inhale, we rise up for warrior one. So keep sending the left hip back and the right hip forward. You want both hips to face forward. Let's transition to warrior two. Inhale, open the hips up to the long side of the mat. If you have to adjust the feet a little so that you're comfortable, you're welcome to do so. Sink nice and low. One more breath. And we'll cartwheel all the way down again, bringing hands down to the floor. Step back with that left foot coming into plank. Down, maybe chaturanga for you today. Inhale, upward facing. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. Okay, so let's open up through the left side body now. Inhale, reach the left leg up. Bend through the knee, bring the heel down to the bum. And then open up, sending that foot over to the right. Looking underneath the left armpit. And then we inhale, back to 3-legged dog. Exhale, step it all the way through. Right foot to meet, coming into forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, arms up all the way. Exhale, hands to heart center. Nice, well done. The heat is definitely on in South Africa today. I can feel it. Okay, let's keep moving deeper into the hips. We'll take another salutation. Inhale, bring arms up overhead. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Step the right leg back, then the left. And from here, we'll transition straight into a downward facing dog. You're going to move into lizard pose from here. So you take an inhale, reaching the right leg up. And as you exhale, step it all the way to the outside of the right hand. Let's just take a moment here. Allow the hips to get used to it. Maybe sink a little bit lower. Good. And then we drop down, releasing onto the left knee. And you can point the toes at the back if that feels good for you. Good. And again, we're just moving from side to side here, feeling into the hips. And then you can stay here if that's enough for you. If you want to go down, you can come onto the forearms. And if you feel that there's a lot of pressure on the knee, you can just open up the toes a little in a ballet fit, so bringing the toes toward the long side of the mat. Good, just feeling whatever sensation is coming up for you here, allowing it to be. If you find yourself not breathing anymore, then maybe just back out a little bit. Good. If you were in the forearms, just come back onto the hands. And from here, we're going to make our way into pigeon pose. So just bring that right foot behind the hands and walk the foot over, bringing the right knee behind the right wrist and the right foot behind the left wrist. Okay, and again, we move. So it really helps just to swing from side to side a little bit here and find that sweet spot for you. It's amazing how 1 little millimeter can make a difference in the sensation of the pose. In pigeon pose, you can use this front foot, so in this case the right foot, as your leverage or as your intensity meter. So the more the foot is back, the less intense the pose will be. The more you bring it parallel to the short side of the mat, the more intense it will be. Okay, we're just inhale, slight back bend here, looking up, and then exhale. You might want to stay on the hands or release it down onto the forearms. And if you're comfy in this pose and you want to go deeper, you can release the forehead all the way down to the floor. Just go with what feels good today. We'll stay here for 3 more breaths. Good. And gently we come back up. From here we'll transition straight into deer pose. So just dropping onto that right hip, bring that back leg in, and you want to form 90 degrees with both of your legs. Okay, so the shin of the right leg is parallel to the short side of the mat. The shin of the left leg is parallel to the long side of the mat. Good. And then we're going to bring the hands back. Okay. And you can stay here if that's enough. You should feel a nice stretch in the left hip. So internally rotating that hip. You can stay here if this is enough. Or otherwise you can go down onto the forearms. I'm just going to stay here for today. If you want to though, I'll just show you, you can go all the way down to the floor. So really take it to the level that feels good. I'm going to stay here today. Good. And if you're not feeling any kind of stretch, it might mean that you don't have nice 90-degree angles in the legs. It might be that your leg is like this. So just adjust yourself and see where you feel and find that sweet spot. Okay, if you were in your forearms or all the way down, you can come up now. And we're just going to find a bit more movement in the hips now. So you can keep your hands behind you for this. I'll just show you first. And we're going to keep the feet planted and just move the knees from side to side. It's almost like an exaggerated form of windscreen wipers. And if you feel like you want a challenge today, you can sit up, bring hands to heart center, and then move through your hip rotation. Okay, it's quite challenging when you have the hands together, so don't push it. Good. Ooh, I'm walking off my mat here, but we're done. We're going to push back into a downward facing dog from here. So in whatever way, just bring yourself back into downward facing dog. Good, and we're going to repeat on the other side now. So inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, step that foot to the outside of the left hand, and we'll just find that space in the hips. So just staying here for a moment, maybe moving from side to side a little, saying hi to the hip on the other side. And then drop that right knee down to the floor. And you can point the toes at the back. Good, again, finding a bit of movement. And then you can either stay here, or if you want to take it deeper again, you can drop down onto the forearms. Again, if it's uncomfortable on the knee, just open up the toes to the long side of the mat. Now this pose can be very challenging. Just go to a point where you really feel that nice deep stretch. Shouldn't be painful, just a nice intense stretch. If ever in yoga you feel like a sharp electric pain, rather move out. You just want to feel those muscles stretching. last breath here. See for this last one if you can just melt down a little bit more. And then we come up onto the hands if you were down, and we shimmy that left foot over behind the right wrist and drop the knee down behind the left wrist. Okay, again we're going to find movement here, and again remember you can always use that front foot to determine the intensity. Okay, rocking from side to side, feeling it. And once you find that sweet spot, let's settle down, taking an inhale, looking up. Oh, there you can feel it. And then exhale, either staying on the hands or releasing down onto the forearms. Or of course, if you want to take a deeper, releasing all the way down to the floor. Take note of how one side might be a bit different from the other. And just observe without judgment. Two more breaths here. Good, and slowly we make our way up and we drop down onto that left hip. Okay, and bring the legs back in 90-degree angles. I'm just going to turn around so you can see. So again, the left shin is parallel to the short side of the mat, right shin parallel to the long side of the mat. Milo is having a nice sleep here while we're working hard. So again, bringing the hands behind you, feeling that internal rotation stretch on the right hand side this time. Okay, you can stay here, or again, you have the option of releasing down onto the forearms, the elbows rather, or all the way down to the floor. So there are very few poses in yoga. I think this is one of the only ones where you internally rotate the hips, so it's a really nice pose to include in your practice. And slowly we come back up, and we'll transition into those exaggerated windscreen wipers again. So again, just remembering your options, you can keep the hands behind the back. This will definitely ease the movement. Or if you feel strong and up for a challenge today, you can bring the hands to heart center and move. Good. We'll just do one more each side. You might walk off your mat like I'm doing. Good. And then again, we're going to meet in downward facing dog. So just making your way into down dog. Nice. Just stretch out the body. This should feel really good on the legs and the knees to straighten them out. And then we come down onto the knees, and we'll just transition to seated again. So cross the feet at the back, or in whatever way is comfortable for you to come to seated. Good. Okay, from here we're going into fire log pose. Now this can be quite intense, so just go as far as you can. You can always just do a normal cross-legged pose if that's enough for you, depending on where your hips are at today. Okay, so for fire log pose, we'll start with the left leg at the bottom. And the shin of the left leg again is parallel to the front of your mat. And then we're going to stack the right heel to the left knee. So I'll show you from the front. Okay, so the right heel is stacked on the left knee, and the right knee is either stacked or, if you like me, hovering a little or a lot above the left heel. Okay, so this might be enough for you. If it feels uncomfortable, you can always use a block or a blanket and just fill the space. Again, if it's too intense, just move into a normal cross-legged position. Okay, if you're going to stay here, we're going to start folding forward, and here you may find that gap closes between the foot and the knee, and then fold forward as much as you can. This is quite an intense hip stretch. Okay, so you can release forward. And it doesn't really matter what you're doing with your arms here, as long as you're feeling that nice stretch in the hip, which I'm sure you are. We'll just stay here for 2 more breaths. Feel free to release out at any time if it gets too much. And then slowly we rise up. And from here we move into Gomukhasana, or knee stack pose. So as the legs are, you can just bring them to the sides of your bum. Okay, if you want to go into the full pose or somewhere close to it, all 10 toes are flat on the floor, the bum is flat on the floor, and the feet are next to you. So this might be plenty for you already. And if it looks nowhere like this shape, but you're still feeling a nice stretch, then you're still doing it right. So don't worry about creating the perfect shape. Okay, you can stay here if that's enough. Otherwise, we're going to fold forward, walking the hands forward and folding down. Just one last breath here. You either love or you hate this pose. Okay, slowly we come back up. And let's just straighten out the legs and shake them out. Lots of work happening here. And now we'll move to the other side. Okay, so this time we're going to bring the right leg to the bottom and stack the left leg on top. Okay, and you'll find here again that one side will feel different than the other. For me, there's definitely a bigger gap on this side, doesn't matter. We work with what we have. Okay, so this might be enough for you already. Otherwise, see what happens when you start to fold forward. Okay, whew, I can feel this side. The arms can be at the side like mine are, or depending on how far you can go forward, you might even bring the hands forward. Just allow yourself to be comfortable. Not worrying about the shape, just the stretch. You can keep the feet active here. good. Just one more breath. And slowly we release out. Okay, and let's slide into Gomukhasana, knee stack pose on the other side. So again, even if the legs are splaying out, don't worry. Like I said 5 times now, it's not about the shape necessarily, you just want to get that nice stretch. Okay, sitting nice and tall, bum on the floor, feet next to you. If this is enough, stay here, otherwise start folding forward. I can feel a big difference from one side to the other. You might be experiencing the same. This side for me is definitely tighter. And now gently, if you were folded over, gently rise up and straighten out the legs. Again, shaking them, make any movement that intuitively feels good. Or just do a quick forward fold to neutralize. Inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, fold forward. So don't worry too much about getting this perfect forward fold. We didn't work the hamstrings today. It really is just to get a nice stretch, allow the legs to straighten out a little. So you can make it a passive one, rounding through the back, allowing the head to release down, arms to flop next to your side. And then slowly inhale, come up. And you can make your way down to the floor. Good. Lovely. We'll just do supine twists, always good at the end of class, so just hug both knees into your chest. And today you have an option of going a bit deeper and still including that glute in the stretch as well. So you can either just drop both knees down to the floor if that's better for your back today. Otherwise, you can bring the left foot down to the floor, the right leg over the left, and then we drop the leg down to the right. Okay, so that right leg is pulling the left leg down to the floor and arms out to the side or even up overhead. I like to keep my neck neutral, looking up to the ceiling, but of course if you choose, you can twist through the neck as well and look over the left shoulder. In fact, this feels really good today, so I'm going to stay here. What good is a mind if you can't change it? So you keep working the legs down to the right and keep working the left shoulder down toward the floor. Slowly we'll release out and come back to center and swap sides. So left leg over the right now, and then we drop both knees down to the left. It's one of my favorite poses and stretches. And again, you can keep the neck neutral or look over to the right hand side. Right shoulder keeps drawing down to the floor. If at any point or on any side it feels too intense for you to do it this way, just unwrap the legs and bring one knee next to the other. And slowly release, come back to center, hug your knees into your chest, and any intuitive movement here that feels good, so rocking from side to side. Maybe you want to stretch the legs up, maybe happy baby, whatever your body tells you to do here. And then when you're ready, you can move into sweet Shavasana. Okay, allow the feet to be about mat width distance apart. Arms are next to your side with a bit of space. Palms face up. And see if you can really relax through the hips now, allowing the feet to fall open to the side. And let's just rest down in stillness. What I always like to do in Shavasana is to allow my body to be flooded with whatever state or emotion I want to be in. And it also depends on the time of the day. So if this is in the evening and you're moving into a restful time, you might want your body to be flooded with peace and calm and relaxation. If this is early in the morning, you might want your body to be flooded with energy or focus. Whatever you need for what's in front of you, just allow your body to be flooded with that state. And you can stay here as long as you want to. Or if you're ready to come out, you can start to deepen the breath. And start to move the toes and fingers. Take an inhalation, reach the arms up overhead. Stretching from the fingertips to the toes, waking up the body. As you exhale, hug knees into chest. And in your own way, you can slowly make your way back up to seated, keeping the eyes closed. And bringing hands to heart center. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be protected from inner and outer dangers. May you be healthy in body and mind. And may you be happy and find true peace. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for spending time with me and with your mat. I hope that those hips are feeling great. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. And I look forward to hang out with you again very soon. Bye!